All right, ladies, let me tell you something real quick about how men operate. Something that might help you understand why a man who loves you could suddenly go quiet on you. Now, I know that sounds backward, right? Because in your world, love looks like calling, texting, showing up, making plans, being present, all of that. And that makes perfect sense to you. But men, now we're wired differently. We don't always express what we feel the way you expect it. And a lot of times, especially when the feelings are deep, we don't express it at all. Not right away. See, when a man starts catching real feelings, I'm talking about real ones, not lust, not fun, not I like her a lot, but man, I can see myself with this woman kind of feelings, it throws him off. He doesn't always have the tools to process that emotionally, so what does he do? He pulls back. He starts thinking. And part of that thinking might involve ignoring you for a little bit. Now, I know that sounds crazy. How do you ignore someone you care about? But listen, for a man, going quiet is often the only way he knows how to think things through. You see, men process internally. That's something y'all got to understand. Women, y'all talk it out. You feel something, you call your girlfriend, you vent, you express, you cry, you process it out loud. Men, now we go inside. We lock ourselves in that mental basement and start working with the tools we've got. And let me tell you, some of us barely got a screwdriver and duct tape up there, so we're piecing things together the best way we can. And when we do that, we go quiet. It's not always a strategy. It's not a game. It's not meant to hurt you. Sometimes it's survival. Because here's what's going through his mind. What if I'm not ready for this woman? What if she's too good for me? What if I mess this up like I did before? What if I open up and she walks away? All that plays like a broken record in his head, and instead of saying any of it out loud, which would be the mature thing to do, right? He just shuts down. He might not call for a couple days. He might not respond to that sweet message you sent. He might look like he's acting brand new, but deep down that man is going through a storm. He's scared, not of you, but of what you represent. Real love is intimidating. It's a mirror. And when you meet a woman who makes you feel something real, she holds that mirror up, and now you're looking at everything about yourself you don't want to face, every past mistake, every insecurity, every lie you told yourself about not needing anybody. She makes you feel, and feeling is foreign territory for a lot of men. And so in that confusion, in that emotional overload, he goes silent. Not because he doesn't love you, but because he does. That love scares the hell out of him because now he's not just responsible for his own heart, he's carrying the weight of yours too. That's pressure. That's responsibility. That's something no man wants to take lightly when he truly values the woman in front of him. But let me say this too, so we keep it real. That silence cannot go on forever. There's a difference between taking time to process and straight up disappearing. So don't sit there wondering forever. Don't start making excuses for his silence if it turns into weeks and months. A man who's really working it out in his mind will come back with something to say. He'll reach out. He might not say it perfectly, but he'll find a way to let you know, hey, I'm still here. I'm just trying to get my head right. But in the moment when he pulls back, don't chase. Don't panic. Don't flood his phone with messages like, what's wrong? Did I do something? Are you mad at me? That energy right there will make him feel like he's drowning even more. Give him a little breathing room. If he loves you like you think he does, he'll come up for air and he'll come find you. And if he doesn't, if that silence turns into avoidance, then you've got your answer. That ain't love. That's just a man who didn't know what to do with your heart and didn't have the courage to tell you. But don't confuse the two. There's a real difference between being ignored and being processed. Just know when a man really loves you and he's not emotionally mature enough yet, silence is often his first reaction. Not because he's trying to hurt you, but because for the first time he feels something real and he doesn't want to mess it up. Ladies, let me break something down for you that most men will never admit out loud because we're too proud, too guarded, or too scared to say it. But I'm going to tell you the truth. Real love makes a man feel vulnerable. And for a lot of men, vulnerability feels like weakness. That's the one thing we've been taught to avoid our whole lives. From the time we boys were told, man up, don't cry, be strong, all that. We're taught to carry weight, handle problems, protect and provide, but never, ever show fear or softness. So we grew up with this armor on, thick skin, walls up, emotions locked up in a vault. And then here you come, beautiful, loving, smart, kind. You start knocking on that vault like, let me in. I just want to love you. And suddenly that armor don't feel like protection anymore. It feels like pressure. See, what y'all need to understand is that being loved, genuinely loved, exposes a man. It puts him in a position where now he has to be seen for who he really is, not who he pretends to be. You loving him isn't the problem. The problem is he's afraid you might see what's behind the smile, the money, the confidence, the jokes, the tough exterior. Because behind all that might be insecurity, fear, guilt, shame, pain, stuff he buried years ago and hoped nobody would ever. So when a man loves you but starts acting distant or avoid certain conversations, don't always assume he's losing interest. Sometimes that distance is his fear talking. He's scared to let you see his flaws, scared you might judge him, scared you'll walk away once you realize he doesn't have it all together, and more than anything, he's scared of being dependent on your love because now you have the power to hurt him. And that's a terrifying position for a man who's spent his whole life trying to stay in control. Now, don't get me wrong, that fear don't look like fear. It shows up as attitude, short replies, busy all of a sudden, canceling plans, or just straight up quiet. But deep down, that man is at war with himself. He wants to let you in, but his pride won't let him be fully seen. He wants to trust you, but that little voice in his head keeps saying, what if she leaves? What if you're not good enough? What if you open up and she uses it against you? And listen, this ain't just about past relationships. Some of these wounds go way back. Some of us watched our fathers walk out. Some of us grew up without any example of what real love even looks like. Some of us had to grow up too fast, take care of everybody else, be the man before we even knew what a man really was. So now when we find a woman who sees us, really sees us, we don't know how to handle it. We want to hold on, but we also want to run. That's the emotional tug-of-war happening inside that man. But here's the kicker. Vulnerability is necessary for love. You cannot love fully and stay hidden at the same time. And that's the wall every man has to climb when he truly loves someone. He's got to choose courage over comfort. He's got to risk being seen, even when it scares the hell out of him. But that takes emotional maturity. And not every man is there yet, even if he means well. So sometimes when he's ignoring your calls or avoiding deep conversations, it ain't because he doesn't feel. It's because he's feeling too much and he doesn't know what to do with it. He's afraid to be open because open means exposed. Open means trusting you not to hurt him, not to reject him, not to leave when you see the messy parts. And here's what I want y'all to remember. You cannot fix that for him. You can support him, you can be patient, but you can't heal that fear. Only he can. Only he can look in the mirror and decide, I'm going to love her boldly even if it scares me. Until then, that fear of vulnerability will keep popping up, and it might come out as silence, distance, or confusion. And I know that's tough, loving someone who's scared to let you love them. But trust me, if a man really wants to keep you, he'll eventually face that fear, and when he does, he'll stop hiding, not just from you, but from himself. Because at the end of the day, real love don't live behind walls. It lives in truth, in risk, in honesty, and yes, in vulnerability. Let's talk about something most people miss when they're trying to figure out what's going on in a man's head. When he stops calling like he used to, when he starts texting back late or barely saying anything at all, when you feel like you're the only one reaching out. Your first instinct might be, he doesn't care anymore. And sometimes, yeah, that's the truth, but not always. Sometimes silence, sometimes it means he's trying to process what he feels in the only way he knows how. Here's what a lot of women don't realize. For many men, silence is not a sign that they've checked out. It's a sign that they're checking in with themselves. That's how we operate. We go quiet when we're under emotional pressure. It's not right, it's not romantic, but it's real. You might be sitting there analyzing every word of your last conversation, wondering what went wrong. Meanwhile, he's locked in his head trying to figure out what he's feeling, if he's ready, if he's good enough, if he can handle loving you right. And the only way he knows how to figure it out is by going off the grid. We've been taught from a young age to be problem solvers, fixers, providers. So when a man feels like something inside him is off, whether it's fear, doubt, stress, insecurity, he doesn't talk it out like you might. He retreats. That's how men have been programmed. Silence is his thinking zone. It's not ideal and it's not fair to you, but it's how we've survived emotionally. We shut down to get control back, not because we're trying to punish anybody, but because we're trying not to fall apart. Let me paint the picture clearer for you. Man meets you, he's drawn to your energy, your vibe, your strength, your beauty. He feels something different with you, and that scares him. Because now the stakes are higher. You're not just some girl he talks to when he's bored. You're someone who could actually matter, someone who could reach that soft part of him he don't let anybody touch. That's powerful. But it also triggers that self-defense mode. He might start overthinking, do I deserve this? Can I maintain this? What if she finds out I ain't as confident as I pretend to be? And instead of asking you, he tries to answer those questions alone. That's why he gets quiet. Now, I'm not saying this is the right way to handle emotions. It ain't. It's just what's familiar. A man who hasn't done the emotional work, who hasn't learned how to communicate his fears or feelings, will always go back to what he knows, silence. And sometimes that silence is misunderstood. You think he's pulling away. You start feeling rejected. You start second-guessing everything. Did I come on too strong? Did I scare him? Is he talking to someone else? And all the while, he might just be stuck in his own head, trying to convince himself that he's allowed to love you. But here's a key difference. Silence with purpose is not the same as silence with disrespect. One is a man trying to figure himself out so he can come back to you better. The other is a man who's emotionally unavailable and stringing you along. And if you pay attention, you'll know the difference. A man who truly loves you but needs space will always circle back. He'll reappear with clarity. He'll acknowledge the distance. He'll own his part. Even if he doesn't say the exact words you wanted to hear, you'll know by his actions that he's trying to come correct. But if he disappears and never explains, if he stays quiet until you chase him down, if you're constantly left in emotional limbo, wondering where you stand, that ain't silence with purpose, baby. That's avoidance. That's a man who wants the comfort of your presence without the responsibility of your heart. And that's not love, that's convenience. So don't let every quiet moment convince you that love has left the building. Pay attention to what happens next. Does he come back and communicate? Does he try to build again? Or does he leave you guessing, hoping, waiting? Because a man who's silent while planning a future with you is not the same as a man who's silent while planning his escape. You deserve to be with someone who gives you emotional peace, not someone who keeps you in constant confusion. But at the same time, you also have to understand how men process things. Silence isn't always a red flag. Sometimes it's just a signal that a man is growing, stretching, wrestling with himself. But growth always leaves a trail. If he's doing that internal work for real, you'll feel the shift when he comes back around. And if he's not, if silence turns into patterns of inconsistency, then he ain't trying to get better. He's just trying to keep you around without doing the work. So while silence doesn't always equal absence, it's still up to you to know what kind of silence you're dealing with. You can't make excuses for it forever. A man who's for you will find his words. He'll show up not just when it's convenient, but when it's necessary. And trust me, when he's ready, silence won't be his language anymore. Love will be. Let me say this loud and clear so there's no confusion. You deserve clarity. Not comfort, not games, not someone who keeps you guessing. Clarity. You don't need a man to be perfect. You don't need him to have all the answers right away. But what you do need, and what every woman in a relationship should demand, is honesty, direction, and truth. If a man truly loves you, he may get confused, he may pull back for a moment, he may even be scared, but eventually he's going to show up, and when he does, he's going to bring clarity with him. You should never be stuck in a relationship or even in a situationship where you don't know where you stand. That in-between place, that emotional limbo, that's where self-worth goes to die. That's where you start shrinking yourself just to keep the peace. That's where you start accepting less, hoping it'll eventually turn into more. But let me tell you something. Hoping a man will become clear is not a relationship strategy. That's a gamble. And you're too valuable to be treated like a bet. Here's the truth a lot of men don't want to admit. Some of them stay in your life without ever making things clear because they benefit from your confusion. As long as you're uncertain, you'll keep trying harder. As long as you're unsure, you'll keep chasing, keep calling, keep texting, keep giving, keep loving. All while he's sitting back knowing he doesn't have to do much to keep you. He just has to do enough to make sure you don't leave. But that's not love. That's manipulation. A real man, one who's emotionally mature and truly loves you, knows that love isn't just about feeling something for someone. It's about making that person feel safe, seen, and secure. If you're constantly confused, constantly overthinking, constantly asking yourself, why does this feel off? Then something is off. And it's not your job to fix it. It's his job to either step up or step aside. Now, I know some of y'all hold on because you've seen glimpses of the good in him. Maybe he was amazing in the beginning. Maybe when he lets his guard down, you see something real, something beautiful. And that's what you're holding on to. But baby, potential is not the same as consistency. Just because he has the ability to love you right doesn't mean he's choosing to do it. And love, real love, is a choice. It's a decision. It's not a mood. It's not when he feels like it. It's even when it's hard, even when I'm scared. I choose you anyway. You have to start asking yourself better questions. Not, does he like me? Not, does he love me? But is he giving me clarity? Do I feel emotionally safe with him? Can I trust where this is going? Because if you don't have those answers and he's not giving them to you directly, you're already doing too much emotional labor. And the right man, the man who truly values you, won't let you do all that alone. He won't leave you sitting there with your heart wide open and no response on the other end. He'll step up and say, this is what I want, this is where I see us, and this is how I'm going to show up for you. Don't confuse effort with clarity either. Some men will put in effort without making anything official. They'll spend time with you, sleep next to you, call you baby, say, I missed you, but never once say, you're mine and I'm yours. That's not love. That's comfort. That's him liking the idea of you without making the decision to commit to you. And the longer you entertain that kind of behavior, the more it chips away at your self-respect. Let me tell you what clarity feels like. Clarity feels like peace. You don't go to sleep wondering. You don't spend your days over analyzing. You don't feel the need to test him or play games.